And for our big main event, Dr. David K. Moore, not only was he named the 2024 Star Superintendent of the Year, but the 2025 Florida Superintendent of the Year. Yes. But that wasn't enough. He decided to take it even further, and he is one of 4 national finalists for Superintendent of the Year. So without further ado, I'd like to bring Superintendent Moore on stage. He is going to share about the progress, remarkable progress of our district and the status of our district. And we attribute that directly to our educators, our students, our family, and our community members. So here it goes.
I missed my cue. I'm already out here. Sorry. And I don't know if she introduced herself, but that is Dr. Christina Jacobs, our Chief of Staff, so give it up for her. So tonight's an opportunity simply to tell the truth. It's an opportunity to come together, evaluate our school system, how we are in service of children, and the work that we still have yet to do. And you look at the screen here, you see all kinds of accomplishments. We are the most improved school district in the state of Florida, not just last year, but the previous year and the year after that. 3 years in a row, our academic improvement has outpaced all other 66 districts in the state of Florida. We are, in fact, a top 10 district. 5 years ago, we were 38. And I say it all the time, when you think of Indian River County, you do not think of us being 38 of 67 of pretty much anything. Today, as a result of everyone's collective hard work, we are, in fact, a top 10 district. Our school district has earned an A rating, not just last year, but the previous year. We're very, very proud of that. That hasn't been done in an extremely long time. And an A is just a given from this point forward. This district will always be an A, always should have been an A, and will always be an A. Not B, but an A. And then our high school graduation rate is 96, which is the biggest data point that you can look at. 96% of our students who enter in 9th grade graduate 4 years later. That is the 4th highest graduation rate in the state of Florida. Data that, okay, all right. Data that's not on this screen. We have doubled the percent of A schools in our district. We have moved from 46% of our schools being an A or a B to 95% of our schools being an A or a B. We are, in fact, when you look at academic performance, one of 3 or 4 districts in the state of Florida who are actually in a better academic place today than we were before the pandemic. Now, if you read the news, there's a lot of news out there to read, you'll see the NAEP scores just came out, and they call that the National Report Card. It is an assessment of how public education is doing. They're looking at 4th graders and 8th graders. Every 2 years, they assess their progress, and they produce a report they call the National Report Card, which allows us, as the United States of America, to evaluate the progress of public education. And as you Google that tonight, when you go home, you're going to see that public schools have a slight decline. They're not where they were before the pandemic. They're still trying to make up that ground. If you take nothing else out of here tonight, that's not this public school system story. We are significantly different. We have set a trend. We have done some work that really a lot of people are looking at. And that's not about one person. That's about our teachers. That's about our support staff. That's about our parents. That's about a community saying our children deserve the best, and we're willing to engage in hard, complex conversations in order to ensure, when it comes to the education of our community's children, we are providing them with the absolute best. And that's the work that we're doing here in the school system of Indian River County. So, anchored in innovation, we are in the process of creating a brand new strategic plan that we're going to talk about in a little bit. And we want to innovate. Why do we want to innovate? Support personalized student learning. Yes, in Florida, or in this district, we teach the standards. But we take it a little bit deeper. We understand that we're teaching the students the standards. And whenever a student is in any one of our classes, the goal is to ensure that they either are exceeding that standard or we're lifting them up to that standard. Just not teaching to the middle. Just not students all receiving one lesson, but creating an experience for absolutely every single child in that classroom to be 1 hour smarter if they engage for us for 1 hour, or 1 day smarter as a result of their interactions with our teachers in our spaces. Increase student engagement and interest. This is something that we know. When students come to school, they should be excited, they should be thrilled, they should really look forward to coming. Getting rid of those rows, getting rid of one lesson for all kids, and creating an experience that is individualized for all students. Preparing students for the future, whether it is college, whether it is the university, whether it is the armed services, whether it is going into the world of work, because they are a graduate of the school district of Indian River County, they are going to find success and they are going to excel because of their relationship with us. And we do all of this work with a deep understanding and a foundation that we understand who Indian River County is. We are Indian River County. So many of the teachers who are standing in front of our children were sitting in the same classrooms in which they now teach. Same thing with our administrators, same thing with our district staff. As we innovate and we want to drive our system forward, we do it with a deep understanding of the values of Indian River County. And we will preserve our way of life under our values, creating our school system for us. And drive excellence into school choice. And that is one of the biggest things that separates this school system from other school systems. 5 years ago, our school board wanted change. They understood the reality in which we currently were at and wanted change. One of the things that they did is change to ensure that every single school in this district is a choice district. 5 years ago, we had 3 magnet schools. Now, every single school in our county is competing for the right to educate our children. 1 in 4 children in our school system is participating in choice. 1 in 4. We didn't even keep that stat 5 years ago. And what's wrong with public education? Why is it not changing and modifying and growing to meet the needs of its community? Let's just look at some other organizations. If I tell you about Uber, Uber is what? You need a ride, you call Uber, you call Lyft, and you got a ride. 20 years ago, Uber didn't exist. Uber created itself based on the technology that was available. Saw the opportunity to provide a higher level of service, a more intimate level of service, a more affordable way to provide that service. And if you watch the Netflix series, you see the taxi cab companies tried to fight it at every which way possible. They refused to change. And as a result, you don't see taxis anymore. You see Uber and Lyft. Because taxi companies weren't willing to evaluate the current reality, to evaluate the need that the customer was needing. They just said, this is how it is. Too many school systems across the nation have done that exact same thing. We are assigned to serve the children in this particular neighborhood. You come to us. It works. People aren't satisfied with this. Under 50% of the people, regardless of their political affiliation, are not satisfied with public education. If we know that, our advocacy needs to be to our community in creating a school system that is significantly different. Netflix doesn't own a movie theater, but it produces the highest number of movies. Not only do they produce the highest number of movies, they continue to evolve. They started with renting CDs and then mailing CDs and then changing to streaming. They're constantly evaluating how they provide the best service to meet the needs of the customers. They're shifting and modifying, and movie theaters across the world are becoming absolutely empty. When you go on vacation, how many times do you go to a hotel, or do you go and find a home that you're renting out? Things have drastically changed. And if you looked at your experience when you were in school, I'm not going to date anybody, and then you look to the education of your son or daughter, it has to be different. How kids think is different. We need to change and modify. So as we begin to innovate or reform this public education system, we have prepared ourselves for this work. Tonight we're going to engage in a quick conversation about opportunities for you to give voice to our strategic plan, to help our school board create a plan that meets the needs of our community. The innovation that we are embarking on doesn't mean that we're just starting this journey. We have, in fact, been working extremely hard to recreate and ready ourselves to create the organizational behaviors and habits that are needed in order to transform a system. We started with one unwavering belief: we will act in the best interest of children. We will engage in the hard, complex conversations and hold ourselves accountable to doing the things that may be uncomfortable for us as adults, but are in fact in the best interest of children. Which means we're going to engage in conversations of how we're going to reinvent and recreate the experience. So when you look at what we've been doing, I'm going to figure it out at some point, what innovation looks like right now in our school district. This is building thinking classrooms. This is a strategy we first saw at Osceola Elementary School under the leadership of Dr. Bacon. This is a high school. We took a strategy that was working and ensured that kids were engaging and having conversations at every single level. Because kids just don't need to have information and knowledge. They need to be able to take that information and knowledge and solve complex problems. This is an example of us taking strategies and building them out across the entire system. This is making sure our students have meaningful vocational programs, whether it's culinary arts or whether it's different nursing programs that we've drastically expanded. We know there is a need for vocational programs, and the programs in our school have to yield out into jobs in the real world. This is what we call sparking curiosity. You can't see it, but that's Mr. E in the background with his hands up. And this is us taking students to biotech lab that is here at Vero Beach Senior High School to show his students what is in store for them, ensuring they're excited about coming to Vero Beach Senior High School. This is making sure in classrooms our students have the latest materials and resources that are in fact replicated in the world of work, whether it's material for nursing. This is our brand new Tesla that we just put in at Sebastian Senior High School to ensure that our students, when they're working on the latest technology, they have access to it. That's a Tesla. So there's no engine. This is our dual language program we started at Felsmer, where students are learning in 2 different languages throughout the school year. This is us listening to our community and creating a classical school at Pelican Island, and also expanding our K-8 models. This is us creating one of the most robust data systems in public education, ensuring that we have the information that is available to us at the tap of a mouse in order to ensure we have a deep understanding of how our instruction is impacting children, and in real time make changes to that instruction. That is one of the things we're most proud of in the school system. Developing skills for tomorrow's leaders, looking at our elementary students, scaffolding and building instructional strategies all the way through high school. Exploring esports in both of our high schools, providing opportunities for students to engage in extracurricular activities that they want to have. This is one of our showcases, what we call it performance, practice, and policy, where we absolutely are bringing in people from across the nation, elected officials, to come in and see the work that is being done in Indian River County, to show it can be done correctly in public education. And here in Indian River County, this is the way it could be done. Take that information and let's grow that collectively. This is, once again, looking at different best practices. These are students in our classroom using the latest technology. This is changing the learning space from what would be a workspace to a play space. These are our classrooms where our kids are looking forward to coming in, taking the content, and having fun with it as they learn throughout the day. This is us creating personalized pathways. So when you walk into a high school, you know exactly the coursework that you need to take, either to be a merit scholar, to get a Bright Future scholarship, to go into an Ivy League school, to enter into any of the different vocational programs. The pathway is laid out for you and your parents in order to ensure I know exactly what courses need to be taken when they need to be taken. And we also have this for middle school, because a lot of times if you're waiting to start in high school, you started 2 years too late. This is us reinventing student learning spaces. This is the Media Center at Sebastian Senior High School. This is Dodgertown Elementary School. Fun, vibrant spaces that can be moved so kids can be comfortable throughout the day. Later on this afternoon, we're going to go over and cut the ribbon for the same space in the Media Center here at Vero Beach Senior High School. This is us elevating student voice. Everything that we do, we're getting direct feedback from our students. How does it feel? How does it taste? Yes, talking about the food in the cafeteria. How do we provide a better level of service to you? You want to know how you're doing? Ask our students. They do not hold back. This is us providing the highest level of support and service to our staff. All throughout the state of Florida, districts are struggling to find and hire teachers. I think we have 8, 9, I'm looking at Bruce, how many, and he's shaking, 8, 9, depending on the day, instructional openings. Why? Because we make such a significant investment in those that we have here. Providing the highest level of service and support to them, invest in them, so we can keep them. And as a result, we don't have that hiring crisis that other districts are experiencing. This is us, as Dr. Jacobs referenced in the introduction, creating our own fund. Because we want to fund innovation, we want to invest in leadership, and as we want to infuse these dollars to accelerate the programming, the support, the experience that our students have. This is us coming together to identify ways to accelerate academic outcomes by having the funds available. And this is us creating the systems that needed to be in place in order to ensure that a district that was on the verge of financial bankruptcy 5 years ago improved its financial rating from negative to stable to positive. It takes 2 years to improve your rating, so in 4 years we've improved our rating twice. Pretty significant. This is us working with transparency, making sure everyone knows what we're doing, why we're doing it, and communicating it in a way that is open and honest and absolutely transparent. This is us creating the tools that are needed in order to ensure everyone in our community's largest employer understands the work that needs to be done when it needs to be done. Creating communication systems, whether it is our collaborator or our instructional hub. These are tools that we created in order to flow work and keep the main thing the main thing. Didn't exist 5 years ago. And this right here is the answer to the question that I am asked the most. What is the school district of Indian River County doing differently? Why have you drastically outperformed all other school systems? Why has your academic performance just drastically increased year after year after year? How do you keep your graduation rate so high? How did you move middle school performance from 57 of 67 to number 3 or 4 in the state? Because we think faster than any other school district in the state of Florida. We have conditioned ourselves to think as fast as possible, meaning that we are evaluating our behaviors through the habits that we have created and to make real-time decisions. So we think extremely fast, and we have empowered our principals, our assistant principals, our instructional coaches, our teachers to make decisions. We want decisions in the school district to be as close to children as possible. We want everyone in the system to understand which decisions they're empowered to make and make those decisions. Because children can't wait for those decisions not to be made. That's why we're accelerating. That's why we're growing so fast. We are empowered decision makers who make decisions and problem solve every minute of the day. So, as I mentioned when I started, we're creating a brand new strategic plan. We are coming to the close of the first strategic plan that we created in the middle of a pandemic. That strategic plan has has accomplished exactly what it was supposed to accomplish: drastically improve academic performance, improve the culture and the morale of the system, create the behaviors and the habits that needed to be in place for us to increase the quality of instruction. What we want to do in the next 5 years is create a strategic plan that reinvents what public education looks like. We cannot just sit back and say, this is the public education system. We need to be deeply connected to our community. We need a deep understanding of the kinds of things our community wants. My advocacy is not towards Tallahassee. My advocacy is towards our community and gaining the deepest possible understanding as to what our community wants to create it. And we can't do that in isolation. This is the opportunity for you to advocate for your school system. And advocating for your school system also means telling us the truth, speaking that truth to us, so we understand what you want as a parent, so we, in fact, can create it. Continue to access and advocate public education. When you're in church, when you're in the grocery store, when you're whatever you do socially, and they start to talk about those NAEP scores that I opened with, or they talk about the state of public education, know that your public education system is different. Your public education isn't satisfied with the current structures that we have in place. We deeply understand there is a need to reinvent our school system. That is the work that we're engaging in, and we want your support. Help us to learn faster. Help us to learn faster. Up here is a QR code. You'll see it as you move throughout the night, and it's also going to be on our webpage. This is the opportunity for you to fill out a survey, get connected, give us information, find opportunities to come and engage and to give us additional information. That's how we're going to create the next public school system. People are already looking at our system. People are already wanting to come and learn from us. But we individually and collectively think we're not where we want to be. We want to drastically be different in 5 years from now. We do not want a standard, sit in a row, get the same information with one lesson. We want to challenge. Do we need bells? Do students need to learn 7 periods a day in the exact same amount of time for 7 different content areas? Is that the best way to educate today's child? That's how bold we want to be. That's how courageous we want to be. Taking all the guardrails off, sharing and collectively redesigning what public education needs to look like. We can be the answer for what public education can be. Our hearts are in the right place, which means we're willing to engage in the conversation because we deeply, deeply believe this public education system belongs to everyone. It belongs to everyone, which means we need to come together, facilitate conversation, and grow something to meet the needs of our community, something that doesn't yet exist. We are anchored in innovation, achieving the dreams of tomorrow with the solutions of today. Those solutions are not my solutions or my ideas or this absolutely wonderful cabinet or our principles. It's the collective thinking. We as a system are prepared to receive that information. Our hearts and minds are in a place to take that information, digest it, and come back to our board with a school system that is absolutely going to revolutionize what instruction looks like and what quality education looks like in the state of Florida. Thank you so much, and we'll see you over there, and we'll cut a ribbon.